That's what I believe anyway. Now, let me address our brothers overseas before I close. You're just as responsible as what we hear in America. You're poor. Don't even have the money at times to put food on your table. Where we throw away enough food to probably feed 10 families. But that's no excuse for not giving. As Americans, we have plenty. The poorest people in this church is richer than many people overseas. But yet, no matter how much money this church would have in its coffers, we are not called to build churches, put roofs on churches in foreign lands, buy chairs, musical instruments, pay personal bills and college fees and banknotes for people overseas. But we're called to preach the gospel. And I found that in mission work, the more you give, the more you're asked to give. So don't go down that road. If you get a text, somebody wanting you to send them $500, because you send them that $500, a month later you're going to get another one. They need more. You can never satisfy. Why? Because they don't give. They don't give. They beg. And that's why they have nothing. So all these things I have said must be applied by the poorest Christians. Where I said I've had wealthy people tell me, Brother Ivy, to my face, to my nose, we can't afford to pay tithes and have the biggest homes, the biggest cars, the biggest businesses. They need to go get them a job at McDonald's. That's what I'd do if I didn't have no money. I'd find a job somewhere. Instead of asking others for help, start helping others with what little bit you have. I'm speaking to our friends in Africa. It is not the Christian way to beg for help. Keep it to yourself. Ask God, regardless of the need, and He'll supply it if He's God. If you serve God and you're doing your part, just as you supply somebody else's need, because the more we do for Christ, the more that He is indebted to us. And He's not going to be indebted to us. We'll receive far more from Him than what we give to Him. Money, and our prophet said this, it's not the criteria for missions work or for being a preacher or a pastor of any kind in the U.S. Unfortunately, it has become that. But I think about the great and mighty Elijah that had such a mighty anointing that God would use that spirit 5 times. When a famine was throughout the land, you didn't see him begging from the rich, but laying by a brook, and an unclean bird, ravens, unclean bird bringing him something to eat. And when that run out, where did he go to find something to eat? To a dog's house. Not to the richest person, not to the king, to a dog's house. A Gentile woman, a Syrophoenician, and she had just enough for her little baby. And they were going to eat it and die. And God sent her there. You go ask that dog to take care of you. And she did. She had just enough for her. She gave it to the prophet. And they all ate till God sent rain. That's why I started out. 1 Corinthians 13:3, and though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned, have not charity, it profit me nothing. Listen again to our friends in Africa. All Americans aren't rich. I remember when we were raising our family, me, a little preacher boy. There were times we didn't have milk for our kids. We didn't have food. We didn't know where it was going to come from. I remember one time the town drunk brought us food. Said, "This is for your babies." I remember other times being gone and coming back, and there'd be sacks of groceries all over our steps. Remember going to church to preach or do, you didn't get no money. You had to drive a ways to go and hadn't just enough gas to get there, but not enough to get home. And you get in your car fixing to leave and you're wondering, well, I didn't get no offering. God, you're just going to have to keep gas in this car. So somebody knock on the window, hand you a $10 bill. You buy a lot of gas with that then. I remember going to a meeting, and it was a message meeting in Beaumont, Texas, at Jack Bell's church. We wanted so bad to go. And I worked 2 jobs where I worked. At home at night, I'd draw house plans. And I said, I need $100. If I had $100, we could afford to go and get a motel. And somebody called me. I needed just a little simple drawing, and I drew it up for $100. Just enough to go. My wife cooked up a bunch of food for us to eat. We got there, rented a little cheap motel, and the meeting was going on. Before the meeting, we ran out of food. We had babies, little children. I said, well, I guess we got to go home. And her brother knew nothing about it. Nothing about it. He come over and knocked on our motel door. Said, Brother Billy, the Lord just spoke to me. And I think I told my wife we need $20. Brother Floyd Howell. He said, God just told me to come give you $20. I didn't have to beg him for it. We stayed through the rest of the meeting, then went home broke. But God took care of our need. Why? Because we gave. We gave first ourselves, then we gave everything else. You that play the instruments,